All I wanted to do was to tell the whole class how horrible they were and that they literally made my life and my job harder. My worst class actually turned out to be my favorite class by the second semester. Hey there, my name is Yil Bass. I am a former Spanish high school teacher, 7 years in education, resigned last year. I make videos to support new or limited experience teachers to navigate this intricate profession. If that fits your profile, please like and subscribe. Okay, so let me share my experience with positive narration through a story. So my 5th year as a teacher was my best, but it was also the worst school year ever. At the beginning of the school year, the AC unit went out. I was displaced to teach in different classrooms. I had to do this for about a month and a half, and this was at the beginning of the school year. And most of the classes adjusted pretty well, except for one. This class literally had me hating my job. I dreaded going to that period every single day. One day, I literally had to go to the restroom, cry myself there for 30 minutes right after that particular period, and then I had another teacher sub for the following period. It was that bad. My coach knew about this and he helped me as much as he could, but I came to this realization that my attitude in that classroom stunk. I knew about positive narration, but how do you do this in a classroom full of teenagers that are making your life miserable? Where do you even start? How do you find something positive in a disastrous pile of fill in the blank? And your administrators will tell you, do a reset. And although resets do work, and I think they work temporarily, there's something that I will tell you. The real change actually happens and starts with you. But what do I mean by this? As a teacher, I have the most influence and power in that classroom. If I want students to behave differently, who do you think needs to behave differently first? Yes, me. To begin, I had to perceive my class differently. I also had to let students know that I believed in them, that they could change their behavior, that they could do better in the class, even though I didn't really believe. And I know that sounds awful, but deep inside, I just had no hope at all. But I just had to fake the hope until it became a reality. I didn't know the future, but I did what was in my control, which was my thought process and how I perceived that particular class. Because the way that you think is the way that you're gonna act. Was this easy? And oh no, of course not. It was the hardest thing ever. All I wanted to do was to tell the whole class how horrible they were and that they literally made my life and my job harder, which I obviously didn't do and couldn't do. So I eventually did a reset and I gave the class updates on how well they were doing almost every day. I did this for about a month. It wasn't a smooth process. Some days they did really well, some days they did horribly. Nevertheless, I made sure that I smiled, even though I didn't feel like it, and made it a big deal when they did well. I also remember thanking students individually and as a class for following the instructions, for opening up their laptops silently. Can we be real? Teachers have students that they don't really like. And so I had to just swallow my pride and literally thank the students, the tough ones, when they actually occasionally or rarely do any work or helped out a friend. I would make it a big deal to them and I would look at them in the eye and tell them, thank you so much for doing that. Genuinely tell them that their presence in the class mattered, that they were being seen. And thanking the tough students actually helped gradually help change the classroom culture and change my attitude too. Eventually they fixed my AC and we returned to the classroom. And there are 3 things I want to share about how positive narration did for my classroom. The first one is, you're not going to believe this, but students actually did better in my class academically than my well-behaved classes. The second thing is, obviously they changed their behavior and there was this healthy mutual respect between themselves and between the class and myself. And the third one, again, you're not gonna believe me, but my worst class actually turned out to be my favorite class by the 2nd semester. That's how golden positive narration is. However, it does require humility. It requires you to swallow your pride. If you feel encouraged by today's video, please like, subscribe, comment below some of the challenges that you've had with positive narration. I know you see a lot of resources, you hear it in professional developments about this concept, but you're like, okay, but that's easier said than done, and I totally understand that. But once you nail it in the head and you swallow your pride, it really can transform your classroom. Let me know also any wins that you've had with positive narration. How did you do it? Let's talk about it. Hasta luego.